Tonight for dinner, we're going to do one of our family staples, our salmon bowls. So I'm just prepping the Brussels sprouts right now. I just get a bag of the Brussels sprouts, and these are roasted Brussels sprouts in the oven. So I just take the Brussels sprout, cut off the bottom like that, and then I just peel like the outer layer of the leaves off of it, cut it in half, and put it into a bowl. And while I'm prepping that, I also cut up two slices of bacon that are in a frying pan right now cooking. And we're going to use the bacon grease to cook the Brussels sprouts in. So I'll show you that when we get to that step. So I'm just going to finish prepping the Brussels sprouts and then I'll show you. So just a little tip for the bacon. When you put it in the pan, you want to put it on low. Start with a cold pan when you put the bacon in there and start with a low heat so that way it gives off its grease. This bacon for some reason didn't, I don't know why, I don't know if you guys can see the thumbs up, but anyway, this bacon doesn't give off a lot of fat, and so I added a little bit of olive oil to the pan just to help it out a little bit. So the bacon is cooking in the skillet, and I am still prepping the Brussels sprouts, and we'll be back. The salmon, so I just got this package of salmon here at the commissary, and I love salmon. So for me, this is like for two people, so I'm just gonna cut it in half. But this does come with a skin on it. So what I'm gonna do is take it out, and you can see it has the skin on the back. And so what I do is I flip it over, skin side up, and I take just a sharp pointy knife. If it doesn't have a skin, or if you like the skin, you can skip this step completely. I don't care for the skin, so I take it off. But I just take the knife, the pointy end of the knife, and slip it just under the skin, just so I can get it started right here. And then I hold it, and then I just like kind of slide the knife under the skin as close as you can get so you don't waste a lot of the salmon meat. But you can see it's just like I just do it little by little. I just glide the knife. I put my hand on top of the salmon and then just glide the knife underneath between the skin and the meat like that. And then see, I'm trying to avoid getting too much of the meat. You want to try to stay as close to the skin as you can get, see? And then so I'm just going to finish doing that, get all of the skin off here, and then I'll show you what to do next. And my hands have salmon, so I have to use my pinky. Whoop. To make the marinade for the salmon. Now listen, you can just buy a store-bought teriyaki sauce. It's fine, or something like that. If you like teriyaki, whatever. I make a lot of Asian food, so I have a lot of Asian stuff in my pantry, so I just make my own marinade. But again, you can just buy a teriyaki sauce at the grocery store, put some in a bowl, like maybe a quarter cup, depending on how much salmon you have, and then I just like mix the salmon, like make sure it's well coated in the marinade. But I'm gonna make my own marinade, and what I use is I have this dark soy sauce that I got at one of the Asian markets or on Amazon or something. If you just have regular soy sauce, that's fine. It's not, you don't have to be particular about this. And I just eyeball it. I literally like do a little bit of the dark soy sauce. I don't know, maybe like 2 tablespoons of that. And then I'll do a little bit of the light low sodium soy sauce in there too. Again, I just eyeball everything. I don't measure anything. And then I have a little bit of this rice seasoning, like rice wine vinegar kind of a thing. A little bit of that. And then actually I just have a teeny bit left, so we'll just add the rest of it. Again, whatever. A little bit of sesame oil. Not a lot. Sesame oil is very, very strong, so you just need like a little tiny bit. And then I buy this minced garlic in the tube. think I just have a little bit of that left, so I'm just going to squeeze the rest of that in there. A little bit of the same stuff for the ginger. Oop. And then to sweeten it up, I add like, I don't know, maybe a tablespoon of honey or so. And then I like to put pineapples on top of my salad, my salmon bowl. So I bought a can of pineapple tidbits. If you don't have this, don't worry about it, but I just love the taste of pineapple on top, so I'm going to add a little bit of the pineapple juice in there as well. And I'm just going to take my whisk and mix it all together. And then what I'm going to do is just stick the salmon into this bowl and coat the salmon on either side with the marinade. And then I'll put it on my baking tray. And then I'll show you what that looks like when we get back. It all mixed, and how I like to cook it is on a baking sheet lined with foil, and then I have one of these racks here just to allow like the marinade to drip. And so all the juices and whatever just drip off of the salmon. If you don't have a wire rack, it's fine. I cooked it for years without one of these, just directly on the foil. I might just spray it with some pan, but so I just put it right on there. So I'm just I cut my salmon in half, so I'm just gonna take my salmon and drop it into the bowl like so. Let me bring this over here. And all I do is I just zhuzh it around. Now you can do this marinade like in the morning for a couple of hours. However, I just didn't do it. And I mean, I'm doing this right before I'm cooking it, and it's really it's fine. So there we go. You can see. And then I'm going to take the second piece, do the same thing. Just coat it on both sides in that marinade. And I'm going to save this marinade, and I'll show you what to do with it. So just set it aside if you have any left, like I just made a bunch. So there. So you can see both of these are covered in the marinade, and they are ready to go into the oven. And I cook mine at 425 for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then after about 15, depends on how thick your salmon is, after about 15 or 20 minutes, pull them out of the oven, put the broiler on, sprinkle or drizzle some more of the marinade on the top, and then put it back in and broil it for like 3 minutes. You got to watch it because soy sauce burns very easily in the oven. So you got to be really careful with the broiler and soy sauce. It has like sugars in it that burn. So I put it in the broiler for 2 to 3 minutes. And then that way the top gets like, the soy sauce kind of gets caramelized and a little crispy on the top of the salmon. And it's amazing. But I will show you that step when we get to it. I cooked the bacon in this frying pan. This bacon didn't give off a lot of fat. Ideally, you want like about 2 tablespoons of bacon grease in there. For some reason, this bacon that I bought doesn't give off a lot of fat when it's cooked. So I'm going to add whatever it got off of it directly into the Brussels sprouts. And then make sure you scrape all the yummy bacon like bits that kind of get on the bottom of the pan. And then I don't think that is enough bacon grease, so I'm just gonna add just a drizzle of olive oil as well. So ideally though, if you have a tablespoon or 2 of bacon grease, you don't need to do this. If your bacon gives off a lot of grease, you might not want to use it all because that makes it way too greasy. You really only need just enough grease that it coats the Brussels sprouts lightly with it, and then I just mix them all together. And then once that's done, I have another baking sheet with foil, and then I put a piece of parchment paper on it just so that they don't stick. If you don't have parchment paper, just generously spray the foil with pan, and then I'm just going to dump the Brussels sprouts onto my pan. And then this part is tedious, but worth it. You want to make sure all of the Brussels sprouts are face down, like, because I cut them in half. So you want the flat side down on the pan and kind of just spread them out so they're not stacked on top of each other. So I'm just going to spread these Brussels sprouts out, and then they pretty much cook the same time as the salmon does. So 425 for about 15 minutes. Keep an eye on them though. If they start getting too dark in one section, you can either rotate your pan or pull them out early if they start to get too dark. I have hot spots in my oven, so sometimes certain ones start to burn before other ones are even browned, so I kind of have to mix them around. So I would just check them after about 10 minutes, make sure they're not cooking too fast or burning, and then just check them every minute or so after that, and make sure that they're not burning. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna get the Brussels sprouts and the salmon in the oven, again 425, and I'll show you what they look like. I also have some rice cooking back here in the rice cooker to go with it, and then we're gonna have, I got some salad and some pineapples, some avocado. It's gonna be so good. One thing I like to serve our salmon rice bowls with is just some salad, whatever you like. In the grocery store, sometimes I get the Asian. This time they had this spicy cashew. I never tried it, so it sounded good. So we're gonna have that with it. And I'll show you how I make a bowl, but it's normally rice, salad, salmon, and then some pineapple, some Brussels sprouts, and then a little bit of crunchies on the top. I'll show you that. And oh, avocado. I love avocado on it as well. And then I take a pretty picture while it looks pretty, and then I mix it all together, break up the salmon, and kind of make like this one big mixture bowl, and it is incredible. So I'm just gonna check on the salmon and the Brussels sprouts, just to make sure nothing's, so there are a few like little ones that are getting brown. I'm just gonna rotate the pan 180 degrees, just so that it's cooking evenly. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the salmon. Just rotate it 180 degrees, and then put it back in. Set my timer for 5 more minutes, and then I'll check it again, and then see if I need to add time or if it's done. Again, I'll pull it out, turn my broiler on, and baste the top of the salmon with this leftover marinade. I'll just like take a spoon and just drizzle it right over the top of the salmon, and then put it under the broiler for a couple of minutes, but keep an eye on it. Soy sauce burns. Okay, so the timer just went off, so it's been 15 minutes total. 10 minutes the first round. I rotated the pans. 5 more minutes. So let's check them, see how we are looking. All right. So what I do is I pull my Brussels sprouts out first, because I don't want them to burn. I'm less worried about the salmon. So I'm going to take a peek at these. So the Brussels sprouts just came out, but they were in there for 15 minutes. So what I do is I just take a fork and I just pierce one of the like bigger ones to see if they're tender. Because I don't know if you've ever been to a restaurant where you order roasted Brussels sprouts and they look really crispy and brown, but then they're still kind of hard, almost raw. Not good. So I want them cooked in addition to being like browned. And so I'm just going to flip like 1 or 2 over to see. So yeah, they look good. And I actually think that the Brussels sprouts might need a couple more minutes. See, the smaller ones are done, but the bigger ones need a couple more minutes. Oh my gosh, they're so good. Okay, so I'm just going to pop these back in the oven for a couple of minutes. Maybe like 3 more minutes. Just to let them get a little browner and a little bit crisper. Let me take out the salmon here and take a peek at that. Oh yeah, that looks delicious. So the salmon's been in for 15 minutes too, but remember that is going to go back in the oven for a few minutes under the broiler. So I'm going to go ahead and baste the top of the salmon with this leftover marinade and then stick it under the broiler for a couple minutes. Cheese here, they're usually by the salad dressings in the grocery store. If you like a little crunch in your I like crunch in mine, so these just are something that I add on the top, like a handful, and drizzle it in there if you like that. Are done. So all I'm going to do is pick up the foil, make like a little taco out of it, carry it here, dump them in the bowl. Make sure you get them all. Okay. And then the bacon that we cooked in the beginning, add that to it. Or if you haven't been snacking on it the whole time. If you don't have any, that's cool. And then they are fine, just like this. They're delicious. You can serve them just as it is. I like to add like a squeeze of this Thai sweet chili sauce. It is really, really good. And so I just add like, I don't know, like a teaspoon or so. And then just mix it up all together. And the Brussels sprouts are done. That's the timer for the salmon. Everything's done now. So I first add rice to my bowl, and then I add some salad. Salad of your choice. You don't have to be picky about it. Whatever salad you like that looks good in the grocery store that day. I'll hand that to you. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of the Brussels sprouts as well. I love these Brussels sprouts so much. Okay, hand them to you.
Thank you.
All right. And then I'm going to grab the salmon, which is over here. Over here. It's a big piece. Okay. Salmon. And then, so that's what it looks like so far. I have a couple of pineapples here I'm going to put on top. Pineapples. And then I have my crunchies. And then after I do this, the only other thing I'm going to add is avocado, which is already on the table. But this is what my husband likes. I don't like it. But kimchi actually is, if you like kimchi, it goes pretty good in here. So that is it. Our salmon, salmon rice bowls. You can customize it however you want to, whatever toppings that you like. And it's really good and really, really healthy. So enjoy.